do you want to wrap up with next steps?
Sure. So in terms of next steps for year one, we want to just kind of do that mass balance for the carbon to nitrogen ratios and figure out what our data is telling us. And for the metals analysis, as I mentioned before, we kind of want to figure out what's the best digestion method and proceed with that and digest all the samples and get the data for all the metals for all the samples. And then for phase 2 of year one, we're currently still sampling, so we're collecting the data still from the larger compost piles that were set up. And a part of our next steps is also, because we haven't met a lot of our data is not really within the U.S. Composting Council range, developing standards specifically for sargassum compost, I think, is going to be really important. And we're trying to see what can be done in order to facilitate just writing up what is some of the standards that we've seen, or kind of coming up with standards for sargassum composting. And finally, we just kind of have that last Hinkley final report that we have to submit for year one. And as I mentioned, we want to start setting up for year two. So we started submitting all of our paperwork to conduct the interviews in terms of the IRB. And then we want to start setting up our TAG meeting for the year two. And as Dr. Solo mentioned, and as Dr. Swart mentioned, we are exploring different avenues for additional funding. And that's the end of the presentation. Thank you.